Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a very powerful team in the Open Ultra League featuring GRENINJA that helped me climb about 180 points in only 4 sets. The team consists of a Nidoqueen on the lead, Golisopod as the safe switch, and GRENINJA, the GOAT, as the closer. This is a team that I came up with on PP Poke a while back. I did look around and see the team has also been used by Taffy Star, so big shout out to her. But yeah, this team, if you're looking to climb, this team is a really good climbing team, and GRENINJA is so much fun to use. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the team in action. Hopping into the first match, and we see a very difficult lead, Nidoqueen into Shadow A/. Immediate safe switch into Golisopod, and my opponent is going to respond with a Dragon Breath Giratina. As the Golisopod, you should always be going for the Liquidation first, because if you get the Liquidation debuff, which I do in this matchup, then I can make a play for switch advantage. I'm going to be committing the shield here, my opponent is going to fire off the Dragon Claw, and now that they're debuffed, not only will the Shadow Claws do extra damage, but the Aerial Ace is going to hit harder as well. And now, I can let this go, commit to the farm down, and win switch advantage, which is massive, because GRENINJA does very well versus Sand Slash. Giratina gets farmed down, I live with a small amount of HP, and I'm going to go for the Liquidation into whatever they bring in. Opponent sends in their final Pokemon, and it's Charizard. They've already seen the Liquidation, so they are going to commit the shield. I get the defense drop, and I'm sending in Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen farming up to the Poison Fang, losing CMP, but I'm saving the shield for GRENINJA. GRENINJA is such a devastating sweeper in the end game, so I can tank the Blast Burn there. One of the nice things about having a non-Shadow Queen. And then we have the simultaneous switch, GRENINJA versus Shadow A/. With Water Shuriken, GRENINJA is just absurdly spammy. Hydro Cannon deals massive damage to the Shadow A/. I'm going to commit the shield here. They're going to fire off the Drill Run. GRENINJA is pretty glassy, but the good news here is that their fast moves do absolutely nothing due to the dark subtyping on GRENINJA, so even though the Drill Run does quite a lot, I'm able to withstand that damage. I'm firing off the Night Slash here. I go for an Undercharge. Unfortunately, it's still going to be enough to KO. In comes the Charizard, and I'm going for another Night Slash. This is going to burn the switch clock, so now I can switch into the Nidoqueen. Opponent needs to farm down to win, and they just cannot do that. The tough leads continue in the next match, as I now lead Nidoqueen into Giratina. Immediate save switch into Golisopod, and my opponent is staying in this matchup. And honestly, that works for me, as hopefully that frees up Nidoqueen to do well versus what they have in the back. Again, I'm going for the Liquidation first, trying to fish for that debuff. If I get the debuff, it makes my life a lot easier, but I do not get the debuff. That's very, very unfortunate there. They fire off a Dragon Claw, and I'm going to fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace does some solid chip damage, but again, without the debuff, I'm not able to win the one shield, whereas if you're going up against a Shadow Clawtina and you get the debuff, Golisopod does actually win the ones, which is very nice. So I'm going to commit the shield here. The fact that they're staying in has me slightly worried they might have a secondary Nidoqueen counter. I'm going to fire off the Liquidation. Opponent lets it go, and I'm very happy that I fought for switch, as in comes Empoleon. I'm farming up with GRENINJA, going for the Night Slash on the CMP tied to the Drill Peck. I'm a bit surprised that they didn't send in the Empoleon into the Golisopod, but I end up finding out why here, and that's that they're actually running Blizzard as their secondary charge move, so they're not actually running Drill Peck. I continue to farm with the GRENINJA, and I'm firing off the Night Slash. Night Slash will come close to KOing here. They commit the shield, and GRENINJA gets the boost. Oh my goodness. Hydro Cannon will be shielded. I'm farming up, and I'm going for the boosted Night Slash. This is definitely going to KO now. Empoleon commits the shield. Very nice catch by my opponent as they catch the Night Slash onto their Virizion. But Virizion is now going to have to deal with Nidoqueen. Opponent had so many Nidoqueen counters, but Nidoqueen managed to dodge them all and finds its target in Virizion. This Virizion is running Leaf Blade, and this is going to be a very tricky endgame. I need to go for an Undercharge here, because I need to be able to farm down and exit with enough energy to make the Earth Power before they make the Hydro Cannon. Leaf Blade will connect. Nidoqueen gets the farm down. In comes the Empoleon. Empoleon cannot make it to the move as Nidoqueen makes the Earth Power. And against back-to-back bad leads, we start off with back-to-back wins. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Nidoqueen into Shadow Charizard. Opponent save switches into Cobalion, which is extremely surprising to me. The only reason you would voluntarily switch a Cobalion into a Nidoqueen is if you're running some kind of a double steal strategy and you're trying to bait out the counter user. Now there, it's a pretty safe no shield for the Cobalion due to the fact that an Earth Power will not KO, but I genuinely don't mind going for the Poison Fang there anyway, because I'm going to need 2 moves to KO, so I may as well go for the Poison Fang into the Earth Power, as that way it is a bit cheaper. My opponent is going to start shielding, but this is such a profoundly negative matchup for Cobalion that I'm pretty okay with just trying to get shields down while not shielding myself. Like, they can go for the Sacred Sword, but again, it's not going to KO. The opponent, my best guess is, because this is such a bad matchup, that they were trying to bait out a counter user. They were expecting maybe it's like a Nidoqueen Scrafty combination, but that is not what I'm running. So now I'm going to pivot into Golisopod. They have enough for the Stone Edge here, but they're almost assuredly baiting. They're so far behind in terms of me having 2 shields and them having none that they kind of have to go for that bait. I'm going to fire off the Liquidation. Opponent is now going to send in the A-Slash, and we see why they switched out. They were trying to have my Nidoqueen switch out, so that way they could align it onto the Sandslash later in the game. But now, my opponent is just in an incredibly tough situation. I go for the Liquidation. Again, no debuff. That's a bit unfortunate. I continue to farm. They're firing off the charge move here. I think I'm just going to commit to the farm down, because actually I decide against it. I bank the move and I farm down with the Greninja. The reason being is that they're 1 off of their move with the Cobalion, so I can throw a Water Shuriken, win CMP, Hydro Cannon will get the KO. All that's left in the bag is the Shadow Charizard, and the opponent concedes the match. Moving into the next match, we see a pretty nice lead here, leading Nidoqueen into Galarian Weezing. I'm farming up with the Nidoqueen, farming up to the Earth Power, and baiting with the Poison Fang. This is enough for the overheat, so I will respect it with a shield, and I'm very happy that I did, as that is going to be the overheat. I'm firing off the Poison Fang. Poison Fang bait will be no shielded. Nice call by my opponent. I continue to farm, and I'm going for another Poison Fang. This will not KO, but it is going to get the Weezing deep into the red. Weezing is going to save itself for later, and now we see Shadow Charizard enter the field. I'm farming up and firing off the Poison Fang. I have the energy head start here, and I'm able to grab a shield from the Charizard. Charizard easily has enough for the Blast Burn. If I shield, I can make it to another Poison Fang. So I shield the Blast Burn, and now I can make it to another Poison Fang, putting a lot of pressure on that final shield. I'm expecting they're going to throw it as soon as they get there, so I can switch into Greninja as they fire off their charge move. It is going to be the Blast Burn. Greninja looking for the farm down and gets it. They can't bring in the Weezing because Weezing would lose CMP, so they send in their final Pokemon, which is going to be Virizion. Virizion, of course, is going to be resisting everything that Greninja has in its arsenal, Night Slash and the Hydro Cannon. They have energy on the Virizion, but I have Golisopod, and Golisopod can hit for double super effective damage with Aerial Ace. They do have an overheat loaded on their Galarian Weezing, so they're going to go for the Leaf Blade into the combo play with the Weezing. Now, overheat does hit for neutral damage here, but look at what a monster Golisopod is. Golisopod able to withstand that damage, and back in comes the Virizion, and Virizion needs 3 charge moves here, and it's not going to be able to get there. As Poison Fang just does too much damage, they're at the back-to-back, and they're forced to throw both here, because the Leaf Blade does not KO Nidoqueen, so they're forced to throw both moves here, and then I can very comfortably take the win with a Shadow Claw from the Golisopod. We see a tough lead in the next match, Nidoqueen into Steelix. Despite the fact that Nidoqueen does have that ground typing, this is not a good matchup for Nidoqueen. Typically, if you're the Nidoqueen, you're just going to want to wait for them to throw their Breaking Swipe, save the energy, and send in the Golisopod, because your back line handles Steelix a lot better. They're staying in, they're firing off the Breaking Swipe, and again, I'm just going to let this go. Steelix doesn't hit very hard. Opponent's staying in, so you know what? I'm going to fire off this Liquidation here. Let's get some damage onto the Steelix. Liquidation will connect. Opponent sends in their own Golisopod, and this is honestly not ideal. I'm firing off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is debuffed, so it's not going to do much of anything into my opponent's Golisopod. They're firing off their Aerial Ace now. Aerial Ace will connect, and watch this. They're going to get the perfect farm down. Oh my goodness, that is so unfortunate, and I'm forced to send in the Greninja here. Greninja will be hit with the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace, of course, really does not do a lot. I'm farming up and just firing off the Night Slash as soon as I get there. Not the greatest timing ever, but I just need damage onto this Golisopod. Golisopod will fire off the Aerial Ace, and then I'm going to aggressively switch into the Nidoqueen, and Nidoqueen will get the farm down. And here, in hindsight, maybe I should have Poison Fang baited, but it's really tough to Poison Fang a Steel and Ground type because my opponent is going to commit the shield, and they're just gonna Breaking Swipe and Breaking Swipe and Breaking Swipe. Steelix is a Pokemon where the back two Pokemon on this team can do very well against it, but unfortunately I don't have great alignment, and they still have both shields, and a Steelix that can hide behind both shields is just absurdly strong. They go for another Breaking Swipe. Switch Clock coming up soon. I switch into Greninja. I'm not able to make it to the move, and it's a Toxicroak in the back. So I'm going to be able to connect with this Hydro Cannon, but it does not put it into Poison Fang range. I would need the Earth Power to KO the Toxicroak and an Earth Power for the Steelix, and I just don't have enough energy. Alright, we're looking for a bit of redemption in the next match as I lead Nidoqueen into Tentacruel. As the Nidoqueen, I do have to be careful of a potential Scald, and they have to be careful of the Earth Power. Neither will KO, but both will do quite a lot of damage. I go for the catch onto Golisopod, great patience by my opponent. They bank a ton of energy, and now send in Obstagoon. So my guess is they're probably running a Tentacruel Double Dark strategy, potentially with Scrafty in the back. And if that's the case, then I really need switch advantage. The good news is since they banked so much energy on the Tentacruel, I have a massive energy lead on the Golisopod. I'm already at 2 liquidations. I land them both, they go for the Night Slash, and they can make another Night Slash here, but this is not going to KO. So now I have the ability to force either switch advantage or shield advantage with this liquidation. Going for the liquidation here, opponent has a decision to make, and they let it go, and I win switch. And in the back, it is what we expected. There's the Scrafty, and I can align that onto my Nidoqueen. I'm farming up with the Nidoqueen and just going for the Poison Fang. Let's apply some consistent chip damage onto the Scrafty. Opponent is going to send in the Tentacruel. Tentacruel is going to have the back-to-back Scalds here, but I'm fine with double shielding. I don't get debuffed, which is great, and I can just use this as an opportunity to farm up quite a lot of energy before I eventually switch into the Greninja. I can't quite farm down here. I get them pretty low, and I'm just going to send in the Greninja to get an energy head start. They're going to be firing off the Scald. Scald is resisted. In comes the Scrafty, and Scrafty is going to be firing off the Power-Up Punch. Power-Up Punch will do a solid amount of damage. I am only going to make one big move here, so I actually decide to go for the Night Slash bait. The reason being is if I get new mechanic, which I do, I make a second Night Slash. This is heavily resisted, but at this point, any chip damage is helpful. And now, at this point, I think my opponent's win con is trying to call a bait, so I just don't bait. I go straight for the Earth Power, they call the bait, and we take the win. We see a very tough lead in the next match, Nidoqueen into Shadow Swampert. I'm going to immediately save switch into Golisopod. My opponent is going to respond with Shadow Ampharos. Ampharos is going to be answered with the Liquidation from the Golisopod. Liquidation connects, I get the debuff, that is very nice, and if they throw a Brutal Swing here, I can actually survive this. It is the Brutal Swing, and they throw back-to-back. Had they tried to go for the Volt Switch farm down, I would have been able to make it to a move, but unfortunately, I am not able to do so, and if I tried to throw there, Ampharos will typically win CMP. Nidoqueen gets the farm down, they send in the Swampert, and here I make a mistake. I'm able to get a catch, but realistically what I should have done was just fired off a Poison Fang to burn the Switch Clock. Because, as you're going to see, my opponent, now that the Ampharos is out of the way, is core broken by Greninja, but I've given the Swampert too much of an energy head start. Here, I'm thinking, you know what, Hydro nearly KO, so I'm going to bait with the Night Slash, and they call the bait! Oh no! Things going from bad to worse here, and now they can just start shielding up Night Slashes. So this is a game where, to be fair, it was a very hard counter lead and swap, but I still feel like, had I thrown the Poison Fang, and then just switched out, not let them get as much of an energy head start, then I could have won this game. I try and go for the combo, but they read it, go for the Hydro Cannon. It ends up being the CMP tie here, and as you're going to see what's in the back, it's something that Greninja would have loved to see. It's going to be a Shadow Charizard, and unfortunately, I resigned the match. Alright, hopping to the final match, we see Nidoqueen into Heliolisk. What an amazing lead. Opponent save switches into a Skeledirge. Oh my goodness, the spice from the opponent, but it's all going wrong. Hydro Cannon from Greninja deals massive damage. Disarming Voice hits for super effective damage, but Greninja can tank that. Disarming Voice will connect. Greninja looking for the farm down, and the opponent resigns the match. All in all, if you're looking to make a climb in this week of Ultra League, if you're looking to rank up, gain some ELO, I think this is a really good team to do it with. Golisopod, Wimpod has been in the wild pretty recently. Greninja, of course, everyone has those from the Com Day. And Nidoqueen has been out for quite a few years. Mine is built with XL candies, but you can also build a Hundo, I believe, to 2488 CP at level 40. So I believe the Hundo can also be used in the Ultra League. So it's a team, as far as Ultra League teams go, I'd say it probably qualifies as more of a budget team, but it definitely doesn't play like a budget team. This is an absolute meta slayer of a team. And as I mentioned, up 180 ELO in 4 sets. I believe I started like mid 2500s and then ended 2737 after those 4 sets were done. So yeah, this team is an absolute force to be reckoned with. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.